All right, time to bring in our panel right now. Laura Beck, Mike Murphy, Adam Wren, and Abdul Hakim Shabazz from IndyPolitics.org. Abdul, I'll start with you. Quite a week here for local health officials, right? First, the news Monday that could have invalidated some local health guidelines if they weren't ratified by elected officials, which the council went ahead and did Monday night. And then Thursday, this new guidance from the CDC putting some pressure perhaps on those local health departments to possibly revisit those mask mandates all in the span of a few days.
Yeah, exactly. It's been literally a whirlwind of activity in the COVID-19 universe. What I think is most interesting, though, is where do we go from here? What did Dr. Kane, what did the mayor, what did the city county council decide to do? Do they lift the mask mandate altogether, or do they just go by CDC guidelines saying, hey, if you had the vaccine, you're good to go? But then again, now comes the question: how do you prove or demonstrate you had the vaccine? Do you take your card with you? Because we don't necessarily do vaccine passports here in the state of Indiana. So I think what's next is going to be even more interesting than what we saw this past week.
All of this is pretty complicated for businesses, for workplaces, no doubt. Let's turn to Democratic strategist Laura Beck here. What about the Indy 500? We heard from Doug Bowles Friday. He said masks will still be required at IMS with the county mandate. We did see the state roll back its mask mandate the day after the Final Four. Do you think the city of Indianapolis might take a similar approach, maybe after the Indy 500?
Well, I think that's a great question, Dan. And I certainly don't have a crystal ball, but I certainly do have faith in Dr. Kane. She has served in a bipartisan way a number of different mayoral administrations. She's done it in a terrific way. One of the key parts, too, I think, especially as we're looking at, and going back what to Abdul said, especially as we're looking at the vaccination rates, Marion County's vaccine rate is not that incredibly high. And so if you're going to really try and get to that quote unquote herd immunity, or even get to a place where we're close to it, we've got to boost up those vaccinations. So it seems like we've got a great window to get more folks vaccinated, especially now that we're dropping down into that 13-year-old plus group or 12-year-old plus group. But we still are missing some key populations. So that's really going to take a community effort to get that done so we can get back to some semblance of normality.
Let's go to former lawmaker Mike Murphy. Mike, what do you make of this new guidance, and will it serve as a strong incentive for people to go out and get vaccinated?
Well, first of all, I think we need more incentives. I love the Governor DeWine ploy this week. I think it's clever. God bless him. I hope it works. But when it comes to Indiana, I think that we're still all over the map, despite what the state policy has been. In Marion County, for example, unless there's been some transfer of authority I'm not aware of, it's actually the county commissioners who have to decide this, not the city council. And so that would be the assessor, the treasurer, and the auditor. And I'll go back and check, but I don't think the county commissioners gave away their authority.
Yeah,
over
with
county
Unigov,
business,
probably even more complications there with Unigov and all of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Yeah.
They kept the county commissioners because they didn't want to have to do a constitutional amendment to get rid of them in just one county.
County commissioners have been tackling this question in other counties. Let's bring in Insider's Adam Wren. Adam, what about this incentive being offered in our native Ohio here, literally giving $1 million to a handful of vaccinated people? Should Indiana do more to incentivize those who are still hesitant, whatever you make of this particular plan in the Buckeye State?
Yeah, Indiana has a tradition as a policy, the General Assembly particularly as a policy-making body, of liking to incent people to do things rather than punish them for not doing things. So it seems like a logical fit here. The big question for me is, how do you get Hoosiers to take the vaccine, and what is a good reward for that? Is it a free ticket to the state fair? Is it a tenderloin of their choice from a fine establishment of their choosing around the state? Is it an admission to the Indy 500? I don't know. It's an interesting question to think about. What would bring Hoosiers together to get a vaccine? But I'm surprised that Governor Holcomb hasn't taken a step in this direction, although he is kind of a week or two behind Mike DeWine and has been throughout the pandemic, kind of following him, stalking him in terms of similar coronavirus proposals. So we could still see that yet.
It's been an interesting reaction to Governor DeWine. He's obviously, a lot of people raise their eyebrows, kind of a bold approach, but some have criticized him too for using that particular money from the relief funds for this purpose. Also want to talk about the future of the GOP today and the situation in Congress with Republicans ousting Liz Cheney for her leadership role. Abdul, what does this say about the hold that former President Trump still has over the Republican Party?
Well, like I said, some days I think Donald Trump's relationship with the Republican Party, at least at the national level, is like the old David Koresh comment people under the sink. It's almost like a cult to a certain degree, that you can't say one thing bad about your leader. Next thing you know, you're out of here. And I really do think Republicans have to do some soul search, because they cannot win with just Trump voters. It is statistically impossible for them to win with just Trump voters. And so they're going to have to get their act together relatively fast, relatively quick, because 2022 will be here. And the next thing you know, 2024 is here.
Laura, you heard the interviews earlier with Senator Braun, Congressman Carson, and AG Todd Rokita. What do you make of their reaction to this? Rokita also continuing to say, when it comes to the election, he was asked, was it stolen? And he said, I don't know.
Yeah, I can't even really with Todd Rokita anymore. I mean, I just do my best to sort of just roll my eyes and move on, because I just can't. I will have to say that this is the first time I've ever been on a program with Abdul when he references David Koresh and a cult leader. So this is breaking new ground this morning. But when we look at, I thought what Mike Braun said was really telling, because he's talking about how we really need to work on getting our message out and really telling people what we stand for. Well, you stand for the party of Donald Trump. And that's not really a great message when you're trying to win over young people or swing voters. So they do really have some soul searching to do. I mean, Democrats were certainly not perfect and by any means. But at the same time, the more they spend fighting with each other, and we all know this because we've all worked in this business, but the more you spend fighting with each other, the less time you spend fighting the people who you really need to be fighting. So I think it's just a distraction. I think it just ties them more, just tethers them to Donald Trump. And I mean, who knows what Donald Trump's doing? Maybe he and Todd Rokita are looking for missing votes somewhere. I have no idea.
Mike, how does your party navigate all of this?
Well, it's tough. It reminds me of the 1840s, frankly, when the Whigs threw Tyler out and then the Democrats threw Polk out, and that was the end of the Whig party in a very few years. So they have to be very careful what they do. It looks to me like the Republicans now have their own version of the cancel culture. They may not want to label it that way, but if you say the wrong thing in the Republican Party, you are canceled. You are politically dead forever, which is what happened to Liz Cheney.
Adam, we're talking about Todd Rokita here. The Attorney General hasn't given a lot of interviews locally here on his legal battle with the governor. Last couple of weeks, his office has told us he's not been available. He did have time for this national interview that we showed you a clip of with our Washington bureau. Certainly, he has been weighing in on a lot of national issues that may or may not have much to do with Indiana.
Yeah, that's right, Dan. He was up in Gary recently talking about economic development, which I'm not quite certain is the purview of the Attorney General. So clearly, he has his sights on higher office. And of course, AG does stand for almost governor. So he's trying to turn that almost into about, I think. So it's really interesting to watch him operate. I haven't been able to get an interview with him either. So it's difficult to cover politicians fairly and critically when they don't assent to interviews with local press.
All right, coming up next this Sunday in Focus, we'll hear again from our panel for winners and losers, plus honoring our graduates who've had to endure so much these last 2 years. Stick around, we'll be right back.